Karthik's back. Karthik's back.
Karthik's back. Karthik's back.
Karthik's back.
Karthik's back.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of First Canada Live. I'm your host Karthik, and we are here for a really great show today. And I'd like to welcome our co-host today. Riddy is a student on the First Canada Youth Council from First Team 5036, the Robo Devils. Say hello to Riddy. How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm actually really excited because we got something new going on right now. Everyone, if you want to take a look at the bottom of your screen, we have live closed captioning happening. So we're really excited about this to help make our show a little bit accessible. As you know, this is happening live because it's First Canada Live, and the text is auto-generated, so please excuse if there are any mistakes. And if you have any suggestions on how we can improve the show, make things more accessible, please let us know. But we're excited about this edition here. And today's show, we got a lot of cool stuff happening. We are going to be hearing from FIRST Alum, actually a First Canada, first Dean's List winner at the championship all the way back in 2011. We got Nick Bandiera here. The Kahoot Challenge is back, which is going to be a lot of fun. Are you ready for the Kahoot Challenge? Yeah, it's going to be a good time. A lot of excitement right there. And of course, we have Western Engineering on the show today to talk about everything going on at their school and the great partnership that they have with First Canada. So it's going to be a great show. We have a lot of good stuff going on. And remember, if you have any questions, just post them in chat and we'll try and get to them on air. And remember, we're here to have fun and celebrate excellence in our community. So let's stay positive, stay energetic, because that's what we do. All right, Riddy, it's been a tradition on the show, and I think everyone could use a little bit of wellness in their lives. So how about you walk us through this week's Youth Council Wellness Moment?
Awesome. So in the past week, I had a pretty busy week. I had a lot of assignments that I needed to do and tests I needed to study for, and it was really overwhelming. And so I started using this grounding technique, and it's basically a 5-step technique. And the first step is you pick out C. For example, I see my couch, my table, my desk, my pen, my books, and then 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can touch. And that's basically the 5-step technique. So should we try doing it together?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's everyone do it. Let's all get in on this. Okay. But we think about this. We don't just start shouting it out loud, right?
Mm-hmm. So we have 5 things you can see. So we just look for things that we can see. And then 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell. And then to reground ourselves, we just find 1 thing that we can touch.
That's a nice little exercise. I like that, Riddy, because I think that's something that you can do at any point. You can do it, from home. You can do it when you're in class. You can do it if you're on the subway, you're on the TTC, wherever you are, and just kind of take some time there. And so often, sometimes I feel like, oh, I just need a distraction. I need to get this out of my head. I need to, and this is a great way of doing it. So this is really cool. How long have you been doing this for?
It was actually a part of one of my French lessons in French class. And my teacher introduced it to us at the beginning of our semester, just because it was a grade 12 French and it was getting busy. And so she introduced it to me. So I just started doing it for a month, but it's been helping.
Yeah, and I think anytime we have a stress reliever that really works for us, it's important to share it with others because everyone's looking for things. This is something I had never done before, but just in those couple seconds, I was like, yeah, I like it. And also, I know for me, I like things in a very systematic way. I'm a very ordered type person, so it really appeals to me, like going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's a nice sense of for me, one of the big things, I get stressed if there's too much randomness or chaos around me. So I like to have things organized. And this one's okay, yeah, I have control over this. So I like this. So this is really nice. So thanks for sharing that, Reddy. And, you know, we'll be doing youth council moments every week on the show. We can't wait to see what comes up with next. There's been some great stuff over the time. And also, this was way easier than the origami we tried when you were on the show a couple times ago, when I tried to make a tadpole and it did not work. So I think it's time to jump into our news updates. We're just going to talk about what's been going on in the FIRST community. And hey, guess what, Riddy? The Youth Council came up with the latest edition of the magazine a couple weeks ago. What was your favorite part of the magazine? You're not the cover. You were the cover art star last time, but not this time, right?
Not this time.
Well, yeah.
My favorite part would have to be, we did this little segment for International Women's Day, and we got a bunch of FRC alums and different university programs talk about their experience with STEM, and they actually provided a lot of really useful advice. So definitely check it out. It's an awesome magazine.
Do you remember like a specific piece of advice that stood out to you?
Yeah, I remember, I believe Alex, she talked about how it's important to kind of trust your gut feelings and pursue it, even if you are having self-doubts. I thought that was a really interesting piece. And and when I reached out to her, asking her for the magazine, she even told me the same thing, because I'm entering university soon. And so she provided me with some awesome advice too. So yeah.
You know, trusting your gut is one of the most important lessons, because, you know, the human brain's this like fantastic thing. And like people, when they say touching your gut, it's like, oh, well, that's just a feeling. Well, it's not just actually a feeling. It's your years of experience on this planet at digesting everything that's happening around you. And your gut is telling you something based on everything that your brain's processed with you might not even realize you've processed. And like your gut is powerful. Your gut knows you better than anyone, because it's your brain and it's your mind. So, you know, I really tell people, like, especially, you know, when you're in situations where it's like things are a little bit uncertain, go with your instincts, follow your instincts, especially if it's throwing up warning signs, heed those warning signs. Better safe than sorry. And it's really, really important. So that is some great advice there, Reddy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other things, we have deadlines in the FIRST community coming up. For all the teams who are entered in the Infinite Recharge at Home and are competing the skills challenges with their robots, the deadline for submissions is April 8th. And I'm just going to say that over and over again. Deadline is April 8th. That's next Thursday, April 8th, not this Thursday, but next Thursday, because, you know, there's been a few cases this year of teams missing deadlines, you know, having internet issues right before the deadline. So get submitted early, get your scores in there, get your videos uploaded, get things locked in. So, you know, I know you want to like have as much time to work on things as you can, but you got to remember there's going to be, right now, not many teams have submitted at all. It's only about 160 out of like thousands. And so if everyone's waiting till the last minute, and everyone's uploading videos at the last second, it could be bad. So everyone get things submitted early. And we're gonna talk about this next week on the show, but hopefully by next week you've already submitted, you know, so take advantage of that. The last minute, like I know we're so last minute culture with robots, and I get it. You want to have as much time as possible, but just be careful. Also coming up on April 10th, we've got two big showcase events happening on that Saturday. We've got at 9 a.m., we've got the FTC event happening, the FTC qualifier number 2. And then at noon, we've got the FLL qualifier event. So if you want some robot action, you want to see the best, not necessarily the best, but like some of the most awesome robots in the community in FTC and FLL, tune in on this very Twitch channel. And that's going to be really, really exciting. And then like the next 3 or 4 weeks on FIRST Canada Live, we have some really fun stuff happening, because so many teams have been interviewing recently for the Innovation Challenge and the Game Design Challenge. Well, we're going to be having those teams do interviews live on FIRST Canada Live. That's right. So we can see what games teams have designed, what awesome themes they've come up with, what game elements, what strategies are involved, and all the things that they thought about. There's so many criteria that go into game design. And also like the innovation challenges, we get to hear about these teams' pitches, you know. And like last week, we saw a bunch of pitches from the STEMathon on at the awards, FIRST Canada Live Awards Gala, and we're going to be seeing the same sorts of pitches from the Innovation Challenge. So I'm really excited to see what Canadian teams have been up to and all that sort of excitement. I know, Riddy, which would excite you the most, Game Design Challenge or Innovation Challenge?
I would say the Game Design Challenge.
Yeah, the Game Design Challenge one is it's so unique, because like there's so much creativity that can go into it, and teams can come up with anything, and it's always neat. Like, I mean, my favorite part of any year, pretty much, you know, like there's like Canada Day and there's like kickoff day when you get the new game. And so from each of these, you kind of get that new game sort of feel where you start thinking, oh, okay, if I was playing this game, what robot would I build? And just being able to go through those questions and whatever, it's really interesting. It's fun to think about. On the flip side, the innovation challenge, man, teams are coming up with some really, really cool solutions. So I am curious to see what teams come up with. And I'm just, everyone that I've heard about or seen snippets of has been so impressive. So I'm excited to see what's going on there. But another thing to talk about is, FTC Sim, which is this really cool product that First Canada has developed along with Pixelpad, where students can learn how to program robots without actually having a robot in front of them. You go into these simulated environment, you basically walk into a classroom, you see the posters on the wall, you see the FIRST logo, and you have a feel that you got to make the robot go through various obstacle courses, but you've got to code it. But it's using a very simple coding language, and it's really, really cool stuff. And everyone out there who's watching, I mean, I can think of so many ways that FRC teams can utilize this, because I know like every January it comes around. It's like, okay, well, we got to start programming this robot. Who actually knows how to program a robot? And like only maybe like 1 or 2 kids know how to do it. But if you start with FTC Sim in the fall, that would be like super awesome, because you can get a bunch of kids, because you don't need hardware, learning how to program and learning how to code, and then they'd be ready in January. So as much as like it's an FTC product, it's totally applicable for our FRC teams and for our FLL teams. And if you're a student, you're really interested in this, you should talk to the teachers at your school. You could get them to implement it in the classroom, because what better way to learn how to code than to play with robots? And also FRC teams, you could use this as outreach to your feeder schools to help develop like the next generation of FRC students on your team. So there's lots of ways. Riddy, have you played with the FTC Sim?
I have not.
Yeah, it is really cool. I think you should check it out. And maybe like, I know we had some youth council members on the show and they were checking it out, but it's just like, it's really neat, because it's basically like, like your robot's got to get to the other side of the field somehow. There's obstacles in the way. Sometimes you have to push boxes in. Sometimes there's like holes in the field, which sounds a little bit weird that there'd be a hole in the field, but you got to like fill it in with a box and then drive on top of it. And so, yeah, it's neat stuff, and it's definitely worth checking out. Really, before we get started with our next segment, I just wanted to ask you, you participated in the STEMathon just a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I did.
So tell us a little bit about your experience. What was that all like?
Oh my gosh, it was just amazing. It was just like, I loved the whole theme. And fun fact, my team were actually organizing our own STEMathon. And
I saw that on your team's Instagram, actually. I did see that.
And the theme for this year's STEMathon was the exact same theme that we chose for our STEMathon, and we thought it was just such a great coincidence. But overall, it was awesome, because we got to really think about solutions that would help our community, especially around accessibility. Our mentor was absolutely amazing. He stayed up with us until like 4 a.m. in the morning, and we were all stressed to get it in, but it was an awesome experience, and it was just great.
Yeah, and you remember you had Praneet Trivedi, Ontario District Head Referee. So I think it's really cool that you had like some people would be like, oh, it's the district head referee, like we got to be nervous or whatever. But you saw like Praneet's just such a chill guy, and just having fun with that. So very, very cool that you were able to take part in that, and thanks for sharing your experience. But I think it's about time to move into our next segment. But before we do that, let's take a look at a word from one of our sponsors. Actually, it's the sponsor is our next segment, Western Engineering.
What I love about studying engineering is it's really helped me become a better thinker. My name is Shoshana Oriyama, and I'm doing a dual degree with chemical engineering and business at Ivy. I love the dual degree option at Western because it enables me to combine my passion with cosmetics and business. With the chemical engineering background, I'd be able to learn how to make the cosmetics, and then with the business aspect, learn how to sell the products. I was able to travel to France and really experience the industrial side of chemical engineering and visit headquarters of major pharmaceutical companies. I'm able to see the world in a completely different way. Bringing that into a workplace will really set me apart. What I love about Western is being able to study alongside such great peers and colleagues and take our learning to the next level.
That's a great video. And wow, what an educational experience there, doing the dual degree, with engineering and with Ivy, and then being able to travel across to Paris, like to France for this. Very exciting stuff. So I'd like to introduce our guests. First off, we both from Western Engineering. We have Joanne Moniz, who is a First Canada alum from Team 3756. I did not know that you were an alum of that team because I remember helping go visit your school the year that team was started. Me, Mr. Brenner, and Blair McKenzie came out and visited and whatever. And then I remember your team competing at Waterloo that year and winning the event. So that's super exciting, Joanne. And Joanne is also the manager of outreach at Western University for the Faculty of Engineering and super involved with everything we do with that event. So welcome, Joanne.
Thanks.
And we have Mahira Mokta, who's a second-year software engineering student at Western University. So welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for being here. And I just want to start off by saying, Joanne, thank you so much for everything that Western's been such a great partner for First Canada between the FLL event and the FRC event, which is one of my favorites. I actually, I did a co-op term at Western when I was going to Waterloo years ago. And it was like my favorite 4 months of my university existence. So I love getting back to campus and just, being around, and especially that late date in the spring, weather is starting to get better and campus is gorgeous. So it's always like a highlight of my year. So that's very exciting.
That's awesome. It's always a toss-up if it's going to be nice for that event or if it's going to be snowing, as teams like try to get their robot into the building. And I always laugh. I'm like, oh, today it'll snow, tomorrow it'll be sunny. So it's always a fun and interesting event.
I remember that because I remember like one of the days I got in the morning and it's super cold in the morning and you're walking from the parking lot. I'm like, oh, this is miserable. And then like during the day, everyone was like, hey, you should go outside. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like it's 20 degrees out. I'm like, what? And then I'm just like walking around campus, just like seeing the sights and everything. And so it's really great. So thank you for being here. And I guess, Joanne, to start off, what can you share with us about Western Engineering that our audience, of first students might be curious to hear about?
Yeah, so if you don't know, Western University is in London, Ontario. So kind of for point of reference, if you're thinking of GTA, you're going to drive past Waterloo, Kitchener, you're going to keep going into London. So we are a medium-sized university. And within engineering, we have something that's a bit unique in that we have a common first year. And so what that means is you don't have to pick what engineering discipline you want to go in from high school. So if you know you love engineering, but you really don't know what kind of engineering or even what the options are, Western is a really great place because you can try all of them in your first year and then see what you're really interested in. The other cool thing about Western that I'll mention is with your engineering degree, you can do a dual degree with our Ivy School of Business, as well as law and biomedical. So those are kind of the highlights for Western Engineering.
Very exciting stuff. The Ivy School of Business, known as being one of the best business schools in the world. And so when you're doing your application, Joanne, so you just apply to Western Engineering. It's not like some other schools where you have to like pick something in advance.
Yep, so you're right. So you just apply for Western Engineering. You'll be put into a cohort of students. So you're with those students kind of through all of your classes. So even though, you're at a big university, it's the same students in all of your classes. So you're able to get those relationships that make it feel like it's a little bit smaller. And then after your first year, or kind of near the end of your first year, you get to decide what program you want to go into. So hopefully you've kind of decided based on your courses what you might really like or what you might be good at necessarily. Sometimes those don't match and that's okay. But then you can also talk to upper year students and figure out, what upper year courses look like or what jobs might look like in different areas. So it gives you a little bit more time to think about what you might want to do. And it allows you to try different engineering because you don't really get to do that in high school.
Right.
Kind of just go, oh yeah, engineering sounds cool. I love robots. And it's like, that's great. But like robotics is so many different kinds of engineering. Like it's not just one. So yeah, you don't have to pick.
I'm pretty sure that most of our high school students, they know the idea of engineering and the concept of engineering, but not truly exactly what it is. And so that's like really, really helpful. Don't you think, Reddy?
For sure. I feel like recently I've been thinking a lot about the future and like what I want to be. And there's so many types of engineering. It's just, I don't know which one's right. And so for Mahira, I know that you're a second year university student at Western and you're in the software engineering program. And I was wondering, like, how did you know that that was like perfect for you? Like, what made you join that program?
Yeah, in high school, I was very confused. It was a week before submitting my application to Western University that I chose engineering because Western University came to my high school and they gave us a presentation about the different programs that they have there. And that was when I understood engineering is not just math. It's not just me doing math the entire day. It's so much more than that. Engineering is teamwork, it's creativity, it's really hands-on, and that's what I wanted to do. So I went into my first year clueless. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what program I wanted to specialize in. But I was lucky enough to be in Western that I had to take courses in civil engineering, chemical engineering, and software. I took my first programming course in Java and I fell in love with it. And if it weren't for Western and if it weren't for my first common year, I wouldn't have been in software. And the main thing that I would tell to any high school student, try different things until you find something that you like, and then you'll know what you want to do. That's exactly what happened with me.
So that's some great advice and something I think is really important for our audience to understand, because I think especially when it comes to fields like software engineering and computer science, there's this idea of, oh, everyone in those programs, they knew how to code in high school. They spent all their time coding. They developed their own video games and stuff. And sure, there are people like that, but I've known plenty of people who found their passion for software engineering and for software in their first year computer course. So it's totally, okay, and you can still be a software engineer. And I don't feel like, oh, I wish I learned to code in high school, but I didn't. But I guess it's too late for me. It's totally not too late, right, Mahira?
Yes, I had zero experience in coding. I didn't even know what was Java, didn't know anything. But I learned it all in university, and that's it. Yeah, you don't have to be an expert.
I want to clip that for not just for our audience, but whenever I'm talking to young people about this stuff, because some people just get so intimidated by it. It's just like, oh, I could never do it, because there's this image of like what a software engineer looks like, and it's like, oh, it's the person who already knows how to code and is like, living in their computer or whatever. But it doesn't have to be that way, and we need lots of people to solve big problems. So that's super inspirational here. That's great to hear. Joanne, what can you tell us about the deep connections between Western engineering and FIRST?
So FIRST has been at Western even before we've hosted an FRC event. As you've mentioned, there's been FIRST teams since when I was in high school, which was a while ago. But we've had a really big FIRST community in London and kind of the surrounding area. So Western has an incubator team. So they actually bring in high school students who may not have a team within their own high school to come in and learn how FIRST works so they can compete. And that existed before we actually hosted events. So when we came to the point where it's like, hey, we want to host an event, there was already this network of people that knew what FIRST was and really passionate about it. And we're excited to have this amazing thing come to campus. And so we've hosted 3 events for FRC, would have been 4 if we weren't shut down last year. And then we've also hosted FLL events, including the virtual one this past February, which was both exciting and terrifying, but so much fun for all the students that were there. And we also have a scholarship for students that are thinking of coming to Western who are part of the FIRST community. It's a $3,000 entrance scholarship. Deadline is April 30th, so make sure you sign up.
And so for applying for that scholarship, is that as part of your standard application, or is it a secondary form? How does that work for us?
A secondary form. So it's listed right on the FIRST website under scholarships where all the other university ones are. It's also on our Future Western site for scholarships as well. So you just need to fill out your information, and then we ask some information about your team so that we can verify that you're with a team.
All right, so students out there, if you're applying to Western, don't miss that opportunity, because I'm sure some people have probably done their form through OUAC. Is it still called OUAC?
It is, yeah.
These things change or whatever, but you might have done that form, but you might not realize that there's this scholarship opportunity out there. So please make sure you get in there. And if you want to find out more details, firstroboticscanada.org/scholarships, or as Joanne said, on the Western website as well.
Make sure you apply. There's been a couple years that we know that there's FIRST students that are applying and they don't apply to the scholarship. And we have limited applications, and I know a lot of the students, so I end up messaging them and going, why didn't you apply? And they're like, oh, I forgot, or oh, I didn't know. Don't be that person. Go apply.
Yeah. And we get our students are super busy right now, and this has been a very, very weird year, but that's why we're here on FIRST Canada Live, to remind you. So go check that out. And I think we've had a reminder on social media as well. So, just check that out and make sure. Right, Riddy?
Yep. So Mahira, I know that, like you mentioned before, you didn't know much about coding and then you fell in love with it. Now, what have you enjoyed the most about your learning experience at Western?
So at Western Engineering, we are a big family. The community between the students is amazing because we really do collaborate with each other and we help each other out. If I'm struggling and I ask my classmate, oh, can you help me with that? They help. And that's the real engineering meaning. Engineering is teamwork. It will never be you working by yourself in a company or in a project. You're always going to be surrounded by people and working in a team. And that's what Western culture is. In engineering, we all have this teamwork values in us, and that's amazing. That's the best part, and definitely makes the high school transition to university transition so much more smoother and easier.
That just makes it sound like a really great place to be. You know, I don't think you have to sell too hard, because like Western has so many, like, campus is beautiful. And one thing that I always notice on that campus is there's like an energy about the student body there that people just like want to be there, which is really, really nice, because like you don't necessarily get that at every school. And so it's really cool to hear that within Western engineering, that it's even seems like there's these deeper familial bonds, which is really cool. You know, Mahira, one thing that a lot of students are, because, you know, so many of the students who are watching today, they're first students, and they've loved the extracurricular experience they've gone through in high school. But what extracurricular activities and types of clubs are available at Western?
Everything, music, theater, engineering related. We have Sunstang, which is working on the solar car. We also have the Women in Engineering Club. That's one of the clubs that I am in, where you get to mentor first year engineering students. I was a little sister last year, which that means I was paired with an older female student in Western engineering, and she would help me out and guide me through it. And this year I am the mentor. So definitely some ways to like get with people, engage and talk, even online and virtually. So everything really, like extracurriculars, you have everything, even music, something that I'm planning on joining, hopefully.
Oh, what music club are you going to be joining?
I'll play the guitar.
Nice.
So, yeah, I hope to join the music club at Western. It's amazing.
That sounds, do you have a guitar nearby you? Can you play us something? I always ask.
You do have my guitar. Do you want me to bring it?
Yeah, go grab your guitar while we ask Joanne the next question.
Sure.
Right. So I know that Mahira mentioned this amazing mentorship program, and I think that would be really useful to a lot of first year students. Now, I was just wondering, like, what resources exist for students at Western Engineering?
So yeah, if you're a first year student, Mahira touched on it, we have a big sister, little sister program for female students that are entering. But in general, we have a variety of other mentorship programs for students to get involved in, typically through our clubs and teams. So, you know, if you're really passionate about robotics or really passionate about different things like that, we really encourage you to join a club or team so that you can connect with those other students. The other program we have is a super tutor program. So the transition from high school to university can be a bit overwhelming. So it's helpful to have those upper year students who are there, who have done it, who can maybe give you some tips and tricks on like how to manage everything, or even just how to get through certain tests or certain assignments. So those resources are there at a student level. And then at an administrative level, we have counselors, we have staff like me and Mahira, who are really just available right now, obviously not in person. You can email us, but when we're back in the building, like our doors are open, you can come and chat type of thing. So yeah, Mahira, I think summarized it really well. It really is this family atmosphere where, you know, if you need something or you just have a question, there's always going to be someone available.
And I think that kind of explains the fit between Western engineering and FIRST, because so many FIRST teams and FIRST students talk about this. That's exact same feeling with the community. All right, Mahira, you're back with the guitar. I'm excited here. Do you want to play something for us? This is your opportunity. Live, FIRST Canada Live. This is your first big show.
Sure, yeah. Today I'm on FIRST Canada Live. A little short thing, yeah.
That's okay. I love it. We got to, that's like, might be my highlight of the season right there. We haven't had someone come on and play and sing. There we go. It's the new intro. That's great. Okay, first of all, that was awesome. I love the improvisation. I love the courage to just come on here and play like that. That's beautiful. Mahira, you seemed like you're like this very, you know, you're mentoring students at Western. You seem very wise. Do you have any advice you want to give to high school students in our audience today?
Always believe in yourself. My biggest issue in high school was that I would always doubt myself, and I would even like doubt, engineering, could I even do that? Oh my gosh, I'm so scared. I'm so terrified. But I had to learn to believe in myself, and that's what's always going to get you through. Like sometimes things are going to be hard. There always should be hard. And when things get too hard, you need to know that they're going to get better, because you're learning from those hard experiences. And that's exactly what I've been learning my entire life. So my biggest advice to you, believe in yourself.
That is some great advice. And it's so true. Like, you know, Riddy gave a talk on this a couple of weeks ago, talking about the importance of dealing with adversity. And, you know, we have to understand that everyone has challenges and everyone has failures, and that's totally okay, because, you know, we just got to work through them and, you know, use them how we can to make us better people. And that's great. Joanne, do you have any advice that you would give to yourself back when, you know, when you were in high school in the Ramferno days?
I would say chat with people who are already doing what you would like to do. Like, don't just read the pamphlet. Don't just, you know, look at it on a website. Because of how rich the FIRST community is, connect with your alumni, connect with your mentors. They have the inside track to let you know about different programs, about different universities, just about different things. So really utilize that because it can really give you some insight into things that you're not going to be able to see on paper.
That is some great advice. Joanne, Mahir, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for telling us everything that Western Engineering has to offer. Reminder to our audience, scholarships, April 30th is the deadline if you've applied to Western. So make sure you take advantage of that great opportunity. And Joanne, I hope I'll be seeing you next year at an event on Western campus. And Mahira, I want you to volunteer at that event. You know, maybe bring the guitar along as well, okay?
Thank you for having us.
All right, thanks so much for being on. And we're gonna be back for the Kahoot Challenge in just a few seconds. Okay, we're back. Riddy, we just had our first like live performance, you know, of the show. I mean, I guess I probably sung a couple times, but it's probably not the quality of Mahira's guitar play. So that was fabulous. So Riddy, are you ready for the Kahoot Challenge?
I'm so excited. I can't wait.
All right, everyone, get your phones ready, get your phones out as we bring on first our challenger. He is a FIRST alum from Team 1425, Error Code 0 from Wilsonville, Oregon, and a current mentor for Team 4476, the Waffles. And after my heart, a mathematics student at Oregon State University. We got Evan Watson. Hey, Evan, how's it going? You are muted, my friend.
It's going well. Well, it was going well until I forgot to unmute myself. How about you, Karthik?
That's okay. Evan, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for being on the show. Are you ready to take down the champion?
I'm ready to try.
All right, and let's bring out the champion. FIRST Canada alum and lead mentor for Team 4476, the Waffles, and a FIRST Canada game announcer, 2014 Dean's List finalist. It is Brennan Vivek. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hello, hello. Glad to be
shirt.
back.
Thank you. Nice shirt you got there. We are connected.
Repping the We Are Connected shirt.
You probably got that the first time you were on the show, which was probably months and months and months ago, because you've been our champion for a while right now. And so, but the last time you were on the show, you did beat the contender, but the audience took you down. Even our co-host took you down. So you are not infallible here. So this is going to be a good one. Evan, I switched up the questions a little bit this week just because I figured usually we go heavy on the Canadian trivia. I eased up on that a bit just to, you know, to even things out. But we'll see how you all do. There's some throwbacks this time, so it'll be
all right.
Interesting. Evan, you said you're a math major at Oregon State. Specific field?
Statistics.
Okay. I was pure math at Waterloo, so
yeah.
Stats was like, you know, I enjoyed stats, but it was like too, I don't know. I like the esoteric nature of pure math, just like the true weirdness of it all, you know, real analysis and all that good stuff. But let's dive into the Kahoot. Let's do this. So everyone, kahoot.it on your phones, get logged in, and the code is coming up on the screen. There's the code, 1657849. Very interesting. 7 unique characters in that code right there. You know, for the longest time, they wouldn't give out phone numbers with 7 unique digits. They always tried to have a repeated digit because it made it easier for people to remember them. But then they started running out of numbers.
Definitely limits the options a little bit when you're reducing the poll.
Exactly. All right, we got some players in here. Brennan, are you in already?
I am. I'm
What's your
Funny
name?
Giraffe.
Funny Giraffe. Okay. All right. I can see that. Evan, what about you?
I'm Shining Ibex, but I wish I could go as Power Emu. That's a very good name.
Power Emu is a good name. Yeah, but Shining Ibex is pretty good. Ibex, not really sure. Reedy, what about you?
I really like Noble Possum. I think that's a pretty cool one.
Are you Noble Possum?
Nope.
Who are you?
I didn't know I was allowed to play.
Yeah, you're allowed to play. Jordan won
hop
last
on.
time.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on. Well, we're gonna give Reedy some time to get in here. Diligent Sphinx. Oh, Connell
Super snail.
Connell from 865 is Power Emu. So
there we
Connell's
go.
gonna be on the show next week, actually, presenting his game design challenge, I believe. Maybe innovation challenge, one or the other. Connell's one of the up and coming young strategists in this program. He's a good
Definitely.
do at events, yeah. The code is 1657849, folks. 1657849. Got 18 players. Everyone jump on in here. Hey, and for everyone who's playing, obviously Brennan and Evan are playing for the title here, but there is some First Canada swag on the line as well. First prize is going to get a First Canada fanny pack. Second prize, a First Canada moleskin notebook. I hear those are really big sellers, thanks to Lisa Ramraj. And third place is a First Canada toque. So lots of good stuff out there. Riddy, are you Brave Wolf? Is that you?
Yep.
Okay, I saw Brave Wolf pop in at the end. So let's do this. Let's get started. Question 1. In which season were FRC teams first able to program their robots? 1992, 1997, 2000, and 2003. I have many thoughts on this question. All right, everyone get your answers in. Long time ago, obviously. Correct answer, 1997. So can you picture that? That there was a world prior to 1997 where you didn't have to, you couldn't code your robots. You just got default code. You plugged into ports, and where those ports were plugged into is that they operated in a certain way. Like you couldn't, if you need to reverse a motor, you had to reverse the motor. Like that's what it was like. Like your programming was like soldering and wiring was your programming of your robot. And so I did not know this myself. I learned about this weekend. There's a great thread on Chief Delphi. Dr. Joe Johnson, who's one of like the original FRC mentors, very legendary, and one of the inventors of Swerve Drive for FRC, has developed a new Swerve Drive, which is a new way of doing differential swerve. Differential swerve is something that was done first in FRC by Ian McKenzie way back in the day, the 1114 prototype. But anyways, he was talking about how back in 1997, that was the first year of programming in FIRST. And I was like, whoa, okay, I got to make that a trivia question. So Brennan, did you get that one right?
I didn't.
Okay, what did you guess, Brennan?
I guessed 2000.
Okay, Evan?
I did, but it was a lucky guess.
All right, Reedy?
I guess 1992.
Yeah, see, 1992 would have been a good guess. Like, yeah, the first year of the competition. That's probably when teams started programming the robots. But no, 19. Yeah, but like, it's weird because I started in 1998, but I didn't realize that programming was such a new thing. You just kind of assume it's always there. Just like I was talking during the STEMathon, it came up that that alliances started in FRC in 1999, and then one of the mentors was like, I didn't know there was a first before alliances, because you just kind of don't really think back. So it's interesting. Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a look at our standings here. We know that Evan's going to be near the top. So Mighty Panther at 930. There you are, Evan, third place. Mm-hmm. All right, Brennan, you got some ground to make up.
I do.
Okay, next question. In what year was the autonomous mode added to FRC? 1997, 1999, 2001, 2003. And while you guess, great comment from Parth from Team 610. If you can't code it, you can't mess up auto. That is true. that is true. Correct answer, 2003 was the first year of autonomous mode. Brennan, did you get that one?
I did.
Evan, did you get that one?
Nope.
No. Reedy?
I did not get that one.
2003, and actually Wildstang won champs that year, and they were always known as one of the best software-based teams. When autonomous mode came in, everyone was like, oh, that's going to give a big advantage to Wildstang, and it totally did. Because now, first of all, we were programming in Basic back then, but they had a waypoint finding system where they could punch in the waypoints before the match and the robot would trace the paths and whatever. So it was called Stang PS. And it was just, based, it was really, really cool stuff. Well, at the time, at least it was cool stuff. But like, even still, there's teams that don't have autonomous modes as advanced as they had back then. But the other crazy thing, and this will blow some people's minds, maybe it will, or maybe it won't. We didn't have trig functions back then. It wasn't supported. You had to write your own. And so
Wow.
I remember on 11.14, one of the big things that I did was writing like Taylor series expansions to handle trig calculations or whatever. And I thought it was really cool until like another one of the programmers was like, this is wasting so much processing time. Let's just do a lookup table. And I was like, oh. I was trying to be like that smart mathematician. I'm like, hey, I'm useful for something. Oh, just have a lookup table. This is
that hurts me a little inside.
Yeah. But like, processing time was more valuable than memory at that point. So it was really interesting to think about. But these are some of the things that go on right there. All right. So Brennan, you got that one. Evan, you said you didn't get that one. So let's take a look at our standings. Mighty Panther is now up in the lead. So a couple people are 2 for 2. And let's move on to the next question. Which FRC team, by their current team number, won the 1997 FIRST Championship? The first year that they had programming. The game was called Toroid Terror. It was a very cool game. And I'll tell a story about what happened in the finals of that game. Options are teams 45, 47, 71, and team 111. Who back at that point were 4 of the best teams in the world. The correct answer is teams. Wow, only 4 people got that one. That hurts me a little bit. Team 71, the first of their 4 championships that they won between 1997 and 2004. The Beatty Beast won championship that year. Brennan, you get that one?
I did.
Evan?
No, I thought you wouldn't do it if 71 had won it because it'd just be the sheer odds pick, but I guess not.
All right. Reedy?
I just guessed and I went with 111.
Well, it was a decent guess. 111 was very strong that year. But so in the finals that year, Toroid Terror, 47 and 71 played, and there was a strategic advantage to not be the first team to score in that game. And so what happened was there was like a standoff where both robots didn't move. They just stood there waiting for the other to make a move. And like it lasted for so, and then finally someone gave in, and then it all went wild. So it was like a very, very cool thing. I wasn't participating then, but I know we tried our hardest as a rookie team in 1998 to try and find video from the previous year. And then I became obsessed with Team 71 back then. I'm like, this is the craziest team. Look at this. And so it was super wild. And yeah, as Mr. Brenner says, they were on the cover of the Small Parts catalog. So that's sort of like, Karthik, what are you talking about, Small Parts catalog?
That's a throwback.
There was one catalog and you could only buy robot parts from that catalog other than like raw materials that you had and whatever. And it was Small Parts, which was founded by Dr. William Murphy, who is heavily associated with the Woody Flowers Award. If you won championship, you got to be on the cover of the Small Parts magazine the next year. So that was a big thing. And so Beatty was on that cover. So let's take a look at our standings. Lucky Wombat now into first place. So Lucky Wombat's the only one with 3 correct. Brennan, you're moving up though. You're moving up. And now let's head on to our 4th question. Which 2 teams were on the first ever event-winning alliance in FRC history? Team 176, 27 and 71, 45 and 111, or 65 and 67. The name of the game was Double Trouble. This was the 1999 season to give you a little bit of a hint right there. One of my favorite games, actually. I'd love to play a game like. I don't think they could play a game like that in the modern era because it was like rough and tumble. Like it was a king of the hill to get on top of the puck, which is this movable platform that you have to climb on top of, and there were some real battles there. Correct answer was 27 and 71. They won the Motorola Midwest Regional, and that was the first ever event with an alliance. Later that day in California was the first ever event in California, and the Cheesy Poops won there, which they started their streak where they won 8 straight events, where people were like, wow, this rookie team won 8 straight events. And then that streak was knocked off a few years later by 2056, who went on to win a few more than 8, 23 in a row to be precise. But 27 and 71 then paired up again to win the Great Lakes Regional. and then paired up again at championship, but I think got knocked out in the semifinals. It was a very cool pairing of robots there. Brennan, you get this one?
I didn't.
Oh, what did you guess?
I guessed 45 and 111.
45 and 111, and they actually, I believe, faced. I think they were paired together in the elims that year, and then got to the finals, I believe, together. I believe it was 45, 111, and 84, I want to say. We love Chuck. I don't know. I'll have to check that one. Evan, you get that one?
No, I guess the same thing as Brennan.
And Reedy?
I guess the same thing as Brendan and Evan.
All right. Well, no luck on the show, but maybe our guests playing in the audience did better. Let's take a look. Mighty Panther is now in the lead, followed by Lucky Wombat, Purple Sharp. Brennan, you're still in 4th place, and we got a lot more questions to go here. I padded them this time, so dive on in for, I believe, what's our 5th question coming up. In which season were there 5 teams on a championship-winning alliance? 2000, 2001, 2002, or 2014? The answer is 2001.
Oh boy.
Because that was the year of 4 on none. So that's how that one came about. Obviously, no one got that one. That's just okay. 2002 was an interesting guess, but that was 3-team alliances. So no need to ask if everyone got that one correct there. Did anyone guess 2014? No. Ready? You did? 2014 was an interesting one because that was the first year of 4-team alliances.
Yep.
And so I thought that might throw some people in there. So taking a look at our standings then, not much should have changed at all. Correct. Everything stays the same. That's our first shutout that we've had in all of this.
Yeah. We've had 1, but never 0, I don't think.
All right. Here we go. Modern era for everyone. Which of these teams was not on Einstein in 2019? 230, 1816, 2534, or 2614? I figured I had to give some modern era questions here to change things up. But if I was going to give one, it was going to be a hard one.
These are tough.
Yeah, I told you, bro.
I think I guessed wrong. I think I know which one it is now. Too quick on the trigger here, I think.
Ooh. Correct answer is 1816. Reedy, you get that one?
Yep.
Nice.
Oh.
Evan? No. Brennan?
No.
Which one did you guess, Brennan?
230.
Yeah, there was that Einstein was kind of a blur. So I can, and like these were all like 3rd or 4th robots onto the alliance. I made it hard.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to throw an easy one like here, like 37, like 37. Yeah, my brain not working, but yeah, you
I know what you mean. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Well, actually, let's take a look at our standings here. Purple Shark,
And
followed
Purple
by
Shark.
Mighty Panther. Mighty Panther is one of our first Canada Live producers. Heather Kelso is up in 2nd place right now. So, okay, next question. Which pair of FRC teams has won both an FRC championship and an FTC/FVC championship together on an alliance? Is it 118 and 1678, 148 and 1114, 254 and 2848, or 610 and 1241? I'll give you a hint. All 4 pairs of the FRC champs together. And maybe there's a little bit of a hint in the picture. The picture actually was like random, and I was like, oh, wait, that actually works. So. Correct answer is 148 and 1114. They won FRC champs together in 2008, and they won the FVC championship together in 2006 when 148's number was 1148 and 1114's number was 268. But yeah, so there you go. A lot of people got that one correct. Brennan, you get that one?
I did.
Evan, you get that one?
No, I don't know anything about Vex.
And Reedy, did you get that one?
I did not.
Yeah. All right, so taking a look there. And oh, Mighty Panther up into first place. Lucky Wombat in second. Funny Giraffe, you're still there, Brennan?
Yeah, I even fell down off of that. It was a little bit slower than Dr. Steele.
There's a comment in chat from Adam10836, RIP Cobby. I feel like at least you're not being declined here, Cobby. So it's okay and whatever. And then Part has a heart for Matt Coffey, who was the driver for 1114's Vex Steam that year. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Multi-select. Which of the following teams were on the alliances in the 2014 Einstein Finals? We're going to give you the easy ones. So 74, 2363, 3467, 5136. And this is a multi-select, folks. Multi-select. So there could be 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 correct answers on the board. And I am the kind of person who will put 0 up there, just to let you know. I'll tell you, neither of them saw the carpet. So they were just like hanging out. They were ready to go. All right. Well, everyone just like even across the board, a lot of stuff there. Brennan, did you get this?
I did.
Yes, 74 and 5136. Evan, did you get this?
No, I didn't. I wasn't sure if 2363 was on or not, so I went with yes. If not,
2363, I believe, was on the 67-973 alliance. Reedy?
I put 74 and 5136 and 2363.
I don't know how the scoring works on these ones, if that's going to give you partial credit or whatnot. We'll see. We'll take a look. Let's see. All right, Lucky Wombat still up to first, Funny Giraffe up to second, and we've only got 2 questions left. All right, come on, and let's see what's going on. Question number 9. Who was the first FRC team to win 3 regionals in 1 season?
Oh my.
47, 71, 254, or 1114? I was going to say we've referred to this team earlier in the show, but we've referred to all 4 of these teams earlier, so that's not actually helping anyone. Correct answer is 47. So 47 won 3 regionals in 1998. Now, let me talk about how impressive this was. There were no alliances then, so they were winning games 1-on-1, and there was only 5 regionals total in the world. And they won 3 of them in 3 straight weeks, which was super, super impressive. So here's a really neat story. So then they go to championship. They have the best robot in the world. They have a swerve drive in 1998, which blows my mind on every level of how difficult that is. But they are so good, but the game is 1-on-1. And so teams at the championship realized, we can't beat them. But teams started colluding with one of their opponents and said, okay, let's just double pin the 47 and let our human players decide who wins the match. And so it's almost like they formed an alliance. And 47 got knocked out. It was very sad. There was a big shock across the pits when 47 got eliminated because everyone just knew how great of a team they were. And the next year at kickoff, Woody said, last year, some of you all decided to make up alliances on your own. And we loved the idea so much that we decided to force you to. And that's where alliances came from, because it revealed a flaw in the 1-versus-1 game, that it could be very easily be broken that way. And so that's where alliances came from. 1114 was the second team to win 3 regionals, but that didn't happen again until 2006. So there was an 8-year gap before someone had done that. And actually a second Canadian team won 3 regionals that year as well, Team 1503. 1114 and 1503 won those events together, which was very neat going on. And 254, I don't think they won 3 regionals until like much later on in the process. They typically only went to 2. So, Brennan, you get that one?
I did not.
Oh, you didn't? What did you guess?
I guess 71.
Oh, wow. Evan?
I did get that one, so maybe there's a chance.
Okay. Reedy?
I guessed 1114.
Yeah, I think maybe I went a little bit too much on the old school trivia this week, but hey, it's fun. That's how you get people. All right, let's take a look at our standings. Wow, no movement at the top. A lot of people didn't get that one correct. So, Brennan, you're still in striking distance of number one. Evan, what's your score right now?
Probably not high enough to catch up. 1642.
Oh, okay. We do have double the points this round, so we'll see what happens here. Going on to our next question. Final question. The puzzle, of course. Rank the following teams based on number of Einstein appearances. 71, 469, 2056, and 33. Number of Einstein appearances. The picture up there of Epcot Center, because for the first few years, Einstein took place at Epcot Center, because that's where the first championship took place. And I'll have to say, like, it's very close between these teams. I'll tell you the numbers, 6,543. There's not really that much stratification in Einstein appearances. A lot of thinking going on. Brendan, are you locked in yet?
I am locked in.
Evan, are you locked in?
Mm-hmm.
Reedy? All right, I think we can jump ahead here. 2056 with 6 Einstein appearances, 469 with 5, 71 with 4 for their 4 championship wins, and 33 with 3. Brennan, you get that one?
I mixed up 469 and 71.
Ooh, Evan?
I made the same mistake as Brennan.
Reedy?
I did not get it.
All right. Well, only looks like 5% of the audience. That means one person got
Probably
this
one person,
correct.
yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. Third place, Mighty Panther. Second place, Funny Giraffe. Good job, Brennan. And first place was Lucky Wombat. Who was Lucky Wombat? I don't know, but if you're in the top 3, take a screenshot right now. If you're in like the top 5, take a screenshot and send it away to communications@firstroboticscanada.org to claim your prize. A lot of these prizes are going unclaimed. So like people, like make sure you claim your prizes, get in the action here.
They're definitely great prizes.
Very good job. So we don't actually know when the next segment is going to be. And we're actually thinking that on the season finale of First Canada Live, we might do something special. We're not exactly sure. But Evan, do you want to nominate someone just in case we do have an episode opening?
Yeah, I'm going to nominate our friend Power Emu Connell from Team 865.
Oh, nice. That'd be great. Well, Connell's going to be on the show next week anyway, so we'll be chatting with him. And you want to do me a favor, Evan? Just send me Connell's contact information after this, and I can get in touch with him. And Connell, we'll find a way to get you on. Maybe we'll bring him on for, if we do the Clash of Champions, we can bring Connell on for that one too. That'll be really good. But we're thinking like maybe we'll invite Mr. Brenner to come back on the season finale to go on.
That'd be good.
Yeah, maybe we can invite Rishi back or Mickey. We'll see who else wants to come on. Tegan gave you a good run. Maybe we'll just get the whole crew on for like a full trash talking. We'll even let Parsutra come on.
Maybe he'll get one this time.
Yeah, that's like it's redemption time for Parsutra. Hey, thanks so much. Also, Brennan, Evan, congratulations to the Waffles on a well-deserved District Chairman's Award. Anything you want to say to the team, to the competitors, anything like that?
Well, we're really glad to be recognized and really excited for all the other teams that are also recognized as winners, especially 865 for me. I was there for their first win even last year at Georgian College. Just seeing the emotion on that team really. I was talking to Connell a while ago when he won the second time here, just saying that was one of my highlights, actually being a volunteer, is just seeing the reaction from that team and seeing how much that award meant to them.
There is nothing like seeing or experiencing a first chairman's win with the team, because there's so much work that goes into it, and it's not a single year. Like very rarely,
exactly.
Like there's very few 45-25s of the world to their first year of submitting win. So and you feel it. It's not just the team, but the alumni, because they've gone through the submission process and they know what goes into it. And like, I think that until you submit for chairmans, you don't truly understand the power of this award and what it really means. And like, I think everyone kind of gets the robot experience and whatnot, but that first chairman's win, I always love watching the stands just to see that. And so it's really cool that 865 got to experience that last year and is doing it again this year. So good luck with the interviews coming up. Good luck, for all that's going on. And Evan, hope you're enjoying stats courses out there in Oregon. Sorry about the Beavers' loss last night, but you know, these things, it was a really good run. It was a
They did really well.
really good run. Like, it was just like,
I'm very happy.
I had not watched any Oregon State basketball all this season. And then I was watching them like, how are they a 12 seed? This is too good to be a 12 seed, you know? So it was really bizarre. And then Brennan, at some point, we probably should talk about our Raptors because things are just not going.
It's not going well.
No. Like, we had that momentary resurgence, like the night of the
Nuggets
before the trade deadline, and then now it is like not ideal.
Unfortunate.
But hey, 10 teams per conference this year, and man, I don't think any team wants to play the Raptors. You want to play Kyle Lowry, the do or die playing game, you know, if you're like the Celtics, like, oh, good luck, men's, you know. So we'll see what happens. All right, thank you so much for being on the show. Thanks for everything you do for the community, and we'll talk to you all soon.
All right, thanks for having us on.
Yeah. All right, and we are going to be back with our next segment in just a moment after the look from this word from one of our sponsors, MDA. I'm sorry I'm making faces here. I was just drinking some water and it went the wrong way. And then I was like, oh, I should try and drink some more to clear it out, which didn't help at all. And so I'm going to be making this face for like for the next segment or something. Reedy, do you have any like tips for like clearing water that you swallowed the wrong way?
Sometimes I like to like squeeze my nose and just kind of like scream a little. It helps me.
That didn't help, but I'm sure someone's clipping that on Twitch right now. So that's great. Well, I'll be good. You know what's going to cheer me up this next segment? Because we have a superstar first alum. He is a First Canada alum of FRC Team 1334, the Red Devils from Oakville, Ontario, and 2011 Dean's List winner at the First Championship and former mentor for Team 4039 Makeshift, Nick Bandiera. Hey, Nick, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. I was doing better before I swallowed that water and all, but like, no, I'm doing great. Nick, it's been a while, and I'm thinking back. I remember when you won Dean's List championship. I was so excited because they gave you like a brand new BlackBerry back then, and that's how long ago it was when you won. Like, it's just, you know, think about that. But I remember I was so geeking out. It was like, oh my god, I was such a BlackBerry fanboy at the time. I was like, oh wow, that's the first thing I asked you about. Like, not congratulations or whatever. Like, how's the BlackBerry? So
yeah, no, brand new BlackBerry Torch. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, because you got like some really cool swag back then for winning Dean's List, right?
Yeah. Trying to remember what was in there. Beats headphones. I think there was Amazon Kindle. Bunch of other stuff. I can't remember it all.
Yeah, and also it dates things as well. You know, like the Kindle still thing. Like there's like newer models or whatever. Like it Beats headphones and stuff. That is very, very cool. And so, Nick, thank you so much for being here. Glad we can re-engage you in the FIRST community. And so, you know, for our audience who has no idea, you want to tell us a little bit about your FIRST journey? Like, where did you start and where are you now and how did you get there in between?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I started as an FLL participant. That's going back. I'm dating myself here.
Throw it out there because you can't date yourself as badly as I do typically. So.
Yeah, like 2007-ish, I think, maybe even earlier. Yeah. And then naturally progressed into FRC in high school. I was with FRC 1334 Red Devils. Had multiple roles there, kind of like a lead designer for 1 year, ended up being team captain. All throughout, I was judging FLL and mentoring some FLL teams, you know, busy with outreach and all that. And then went to McMaster University for mechanical engineering and got my undergrad. While I was there, I mentored FRC 4039 Makeshift for 3 years. And then I decided to go to graduate school to pursue some research relating to additive manufacturing, 3D printing. So I ended up getting into MIT. that was yeah, that was an experience. So I was there for 2 years, got my master's, and then went into industry with a new 3D printing company, and was there for 3.5 years.
So with the masters that you said about in additive machining, did you have to write a thesis, or was it coursework based? What was that like at MIT?
Yeah, it was a research thesis. So I ended up working on a combination of photopolymer inkjet 3D printing, and they call it direct ink writing. So it's kind of an extrusion based thing where you can have pastes and you can make electro contacts. Yeah.
So like electrocontact, is that like the main application of this type of printing, or?
Yeah, so basically that was definitely an application, but we ended up making a printer that could have 10 different materials able to be deposited in one print, which is just a huge material gamut. So the applications are really myriad.
Very, that's cool stuff. And I take it 3D printing was like a hobby of yours before going into that, or was it?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I built a rep wrap 3D printer in high school. Was encouraged to do that by one of the FRC mentors, and thank you very much for that, because I don't think I would be where I am now if it weren't for that. So built a rep wrap printer.
Which mentor was that? Give that mentor a shout out. Which mentor was that?
Mr. Woods. Mr. Woods'
Nice.
shop class. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And yeah, there's definitely additive's been an interest for a while, and then ended up working on metal additive for the last 3.5 years.
What's the world of metal additive like now? Like in terms of the technology, is it emerging? Do you think it's fully fleshed out? Like where do you see things?
It's definitely going to be a big part in manufacturing. I think originally, going back a while, everyone thinks 3D printing is just for prototyping.
Yeah.
And that's certainly still true. That's not going anywhere, but there's a lot of potential for mass manufacturing as well.
That is very, very exciting. Riddy, you have a question for Nick?
Yeah, so you talked about having like a lot of roles on your team, and I was just wondering, like, what's your proudest moment in FIRST?
Yeah, so that's a tough question. I could pick a lot of things. I mean, as a participant, I think, you know, making it to World Championships, first time the team ever made it, was probably up there. But nothing at all compares to being on the other side of things as a mentor. I don't really have like a specific example for that, but I'd much rather see, you know, a team that I'm mentoring, a student that I've helped in some way succeed on the field, off the field, you know, as they progress through their careers. There's really nothing that comes close.
Yeah, it's, you know, that when you're a student in this program, like you think like, oh, this is like, wow, this is, and then there's just something special as a mentor. And like you said, it's not always the big monuments. It's like, oh, winning this award or this. It's just like, sometimes it's like, oh, when someone gets it, and like gets it is not necessarily even like an engineering concept. It's like, oh yeah, like that they've grown and like they've changed. And like this, I can see the influence of this program or whatever. And like, maybe even see like a tiny bit of my influences help them. And just like, oh yeah, that feels good. And it's like, that's why we put in this time. And that's why this program is so valuable and exciting. And in all of this, like, you know, you've run the gamut from FLL student to FRC student, Dean's List to mentor. Is there like a favorite FRC story you've come along, like one that people might know about, one that might just be like a very like thing that happened on your team? Or
yeah, I was picking my brain about this. I mean, there's a lot. Something that stuck with me through all the years, and this didn't happen to us directly, but it's just one of those like first stories that I always go back to, is just all the times where teams have overcome adversity to show up without a robot or have their robot damaged in shipping or something like that. And then you just see the outpouring of community support at the events, and they're able to build a robot in a few hours with donated parts and tools. It's really something else.
There's been so many stories like that where it's almost to the point where now it's not even a story when it happens. It's just like, oh yeah, that's expected. It's like, oh yeah, at that event we're like,
yeah,
because teams just do it and they respond. It's almost like we all have these Pavlovian responses in the pits when the pit announcer comes on, where it's like, okay, everyone gets ready to check the toolbox, you know, where it's like team blah, blah, blah is looking for, and then everyone's looking. And then more often than not, you know, the pit announcer has to tell people, it's like, oh yeah, they already got one, you know, if they got it, because like people are rushing over there. And so it's just, I don't know, this community never ceases to amaze me.
Right. No, as you said, it's definitely, it's an expectation within the FIRST community to help in any way you can. That's not necessarily true elsewhere.
No,
But that being said, if anyone's been following or followed the America's Cup this year, the American team had a really bad capsize. This was the yacht sailing.
Yeah.
And ended up with like a meter square hole in their hull. The boat almost sank. And well, all the other teams in the competition who it was in their best interest to, you know, lose a competitor, ended up helping to save the boat and offering their manufacturing services, but when it got back on shore in order to fix it up. And, you know, it was nice to see that same ethos does exist elsewhere in the world as well.
And it does. And I think sometimes, you know, we can lose track of that. But I know at the 2016 Olympics, there was one runner, I believe it was in the qualifications for the 5,000 meters, and she fell. And the other runners, like, and she was crying on the track. The other runner gave up her chance to qualify as well. It's like, no, you're finishing this race. And they finished it together, you know, and like, these things have, like, you know, goodness is not exclusive to FIRST. And I think we have probably a higher concentration because we've had leaders like Woody Flowers and like people like in FIRST Canada, like Mark Brenner, who like really push this culture. And I think we come to embody it and all, but like, you know, goodness is out there. And so like we see it other places. And what I think is really cool is when FIRST students or FIRST alumni or whoever take the culture that they developed in FIRST and then do those same things out in the real world and treat people with that same way. It's like, sometimes it's really cool to be in line at an event for food where there's an FRC event going on. Like I know at the Waterloo event, like line up food, it's like, wow, everyone's so like calm and kind in this line and like helping people out or whatever. And then I'm like, oh yeah, because it's just like, this is how FIRST behave. So it's like, it's nice to see when that translates. Right, Rady?
Yeah, I agree with that fully. Like I've gone to a couple of competitions, and like even with like random people that I don't even know, they're always like usually I'm alone in the pits as safety captain, and they always come up to me and ask me if I'm okay, like am I bored, like, and they like at one point, like I remember a team member actually came up to me and we played Connect Four. So it's definitely like the best part about FIRST is the community. And I know that you went to McMaster for mechanical engineering, and I was just wondering, like, how did you know that program was like perfect for you? Like, how did you know that you belonged there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So obviously, I was considering a few different schools. Ultimately, what sold me on McMaster was I'm going to say it was a gut feeling. It just felt like the right type of place where it's a good mix of, you know, good academics, good extracurriculars, and then this like work-life balance kind of struck me as campus seemed like an enjoyable place to be. The general first year was also a selling feature for me. Wasn't exactly sure what type of engineering I wanted to get into, so I did appreciate the year to kind of figure things out a little bit more. And then, you know, just icing on the cake, I got a pretty nice scholarship, so that kind of sealed the deal.
Definitely. Was that a FIRST scholarship?
That one wasn't. No, it was the Hatch Engineering Scholarship.
Very nice.
It was a full ride for 4 years.
Hatch was a FIRST Canada sponsor, actually.
Oh yes.
Yep. Yeah, I think the McMaster Engineering scholarships didn't get into full gear until the event started up at McMaster, I believe.
Yeah.
Now there's
one now.
So many of them, like 16 of them, I believe, or something. Well, I'll never forget the dean of engineering and that's like, and we have scholarships now, one, and he just kept saying more and more. I was like, this is amazing. He's handed them out like we're on The Price is Right here. So that was something special. And so, you know, we were talking earlier with the folks from Western Engineering. And so when you were at McMaster, Nick, did you take part in any of the student clubs at the school?
Yeah, I tried my hand at a few of them. I tried the solar car team. And also, it was called Formula SAE back in the day, but I think they've converted to something electric now. I'm not sure what it's called. So I tried my hand at those in first year, and for whatever reason, didn't stick with those. But they're both really exciting.
Well, I'm sure you were spending a lot of time, obviously, on school, obviously on, you know, building 3D printers, and then also you were mentoring Makeshift.
I was mentoring Makeshift, yeah. So I was spending a lot of time over there as well.
Yeah, they had some really good robots in that run too, as well, 2013, 2014, especially. You know, you've been through this program a lot, and, you know, you talked about how you enjoy the moments of mentorship and how that's meant a lot to you. Has there been someone, whether in FIRST or outside of FIRST, that's really inspired you along your journey?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so many people. I couldn't possibly name them all now. I mean, the FIRST community as a whole is just amazing. And you build a network. There's this like negative connotation with the word networking nowadays for some reason. I'm not really sure why that is, but it's yeah, there's just so many people that have helped me along the way. I couldn't possibly shout them all out here. But yeah, as of recently, it's just kind of weird, but like as a source of inspiration, I've been reading the Feynman lectures on physics. The part of my motivation to leave industry, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm actually going back to school for a PhD. Part of my motivation in that was just wanting to learn more and more about the physics of things. And so a couple of my mentors from where I was working recently, they gave me the Feynman lectures on physics, and he is a excellent narrator. It's an undergraduate physics book. It's free to read online, and his viewpoint on the physical world is just like nothing else. So that's the last few months I've been reading that, and that's been kind of inspiring.
Is there like one particular thing that stands out in that book that you can share with the audience that you've picked up along the way?
Yeah, I mean, he has a whole chapter on like how insect eyes work, and you would never even think about it twice. It's kind of a really weird subject, but yet he manages to build it into undergraduate physics, like year one introductory course, so smoothly that, oh yeah, how could it be any other way, right? It's like, yeah, he just does a really good job with it.
I'm super intrigued because I just love books that can draw on connections like that. I know one book I read this summer was called The Mosquito, and it went through the journey of history since like the Roman times through the lens of like how mosquitoes and mosquito-borne diseases affected the course of history and whatever, and how mosquitoes affected the slave trade. It was just like absolutely fascinating that you could draw this line through it. So it was like, and like it gave you like the scientific knowledge about like the diseases and such, but also like the historical context. Like maybe a little bit too much on the Carthaginians, but like it was just like real, it was really neat. So I love books like that, and so that's super exciting. So, is there something that maybe that you are passionate about, something awesome that you do that we haven't talked about that isn't related to FIRST? So we've talked about 3D printing, we've talked about the Feynman physics novels. Is there something else that like a hobby, interest?
Yeah, well, I think most years I spend my winters with hockey and skiing. This year being kind of an exception, so right. Been resorting to watching hockey, which isn't quite the same, but
I mean,
yeah.
It is a bummer. Like things have been canceled or whatever. Did you play? I guess you played growing up.
Oh yeah. I was playing like men's league and whatever. As a goalie, we'll see how long my hips and knees can take it. But
so you were the goalie, eh?
I was a goalie. Yeah, I'm one of those people.
Yeah, like, it's always like there's always that one kid who wanted to be goalie or whatever. Because that was the thing. Like I remember in grade school we do like ball hockey in gym class, and we had to have a goalie rotation because like everyone has to be goalie at some point. And I remember that and whatever. And so, and you're saying like you've been playing in a men's league recently. Were you playing in a men's league down in Boston?
Yeah.
What's it like? What's the difference between playing in a men's league in Canada and playing in the US?
Pretty much the same.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't say there's much difference.
I have a friend who he was telling me he plays in Texas, actually, in Dallas. And he says like he's from San Diego, actually. He's telling me it's like, oh, well, it's great because like everyone's pretty like newish to hockey or whatever, experienced, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, so that's very different than what you get here. That anyone
no, it's the Northeast. So
yeah, exactly.
Playing with a bunch of like ex-college players. They were really good, actually. Yeah.
Question in chat from Mr. Brenner, actually. Who is your favorite NHL goalie and why?
Oh, man, that's a tough question. Current or of all time?
Either.
Okay, well, I'm going to go all the way back. Ken Dryden.
Very nice. Also a person who has many interests outside of hockey. So that's a very cool one. I think my favorite goalie of all time, probably Felix Potvin, just because of the run the Leafs had back in 90. That's when I was like, I'm not going to say how old I was at the time, but it was like formative in my hockey experience or whatever. And I still can't forgive, why can't I remember the ref's name? But the ref in Game 7 who called the high stick on who didn't call the high stick on Wayne Gretzky, and then Wayne Gretzky scored the goal to beat the Leafs there. But that was Potvin in net for that run. But yeah, interesting. Riddy, do you have a favorite hockey goalie?
I don't watch hockey.
Oh, that's okay. All right, Brittany, we're just spitballing right here. What's your favorite sport to watch?
I love watching basketball.
Yeah, we're on the same thing. Okay, so who's your favorite basketball player then?
I would have to say, a good question. Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna go ahead and say LeBron James because
Not a bad answer at all. Very like, well, first of all, there's someone on the court and off the court who is doing great things. LeBron James's I Promise school, like the curriculum at that school is just amazing.
Yeah.
Just super,
or even like Kobe Bryant. Like I just feel like
I'm not a Kobe stan.
You're
His
not.
history. No, he did some pretty bad things off the court. I'm not a Kobe fan for some of that history. But I was gonna guess Kyle Lowry for you. I was gonna guess Kyle Lowry because I think like you have the same sort of like energy and spirit of Kyle Lowry. It's like really doesn't back down, you know? Yeah, like you're like it just seems like you're very determined, you know, and you're gonna get like so that's what I love about Kyle Lowry.
Oh, thank you.
So Nick, you talked a little bit about you enjoy 3D printing. Do you have any advice for FRC teams because like for a while 3D printing was like a thing where it's like a lot of people were like, oh, it doesn't really make sense in FRC. Like you said, a lot of people thought it was just like a prototyping thing. But now more and more teams are using 3D printing for like critical parts on their robot. But there's a lot of teams out there who feel like, well, we can't do this, we can't afford this or whatever. Do you have any advice for teams who are looking to break into 3D printing for FRC?
Yeah, so I guess there's a couple different ways to go at it. Obviously, no matter what technology you're talking about, whether it's going out to buy a new lathe or a mill or a plasma cutter or what have you for your shop, there's like an upfront capital cost, which is going to be, depending on the equipment, you know, might be too much. But if you're not wanting to go that route, you could also look at just having parts made from a local service bureau or something of that nature, and that way you'd be paying per part as opposed to buying the whole machine as an option. That's one thing that comes to mind. There's also a lot of, depending on the application, there's a lot of really low cost printers that have hit the market that do polymers. So I know there's like a $300 FDM printer now that's out there, and some are even less.
Oh, wow.
If you're just interested in plastic parts.
I know the Mark Forged had become like the thing that a lot of FRC teams were like raving about recently. There's some FRC teams out there who are saying, yeah, like I bought 5 of them. I'm like, you bought 5 of them? Like they're like, oh, we just print so much stuff or whatever. So I know that one has gotten pretty popular. Now, when you were in high school, because you said you built a 3D printer then, did OT use 3D printed parts on the robot?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah. It's interesting how that evolution has happened so quickly, where like for a while it was like, okay, people would use it for like a sensor mount or something small or whatever. Now it's like, yeah, like I'm 3D printing gears and I'm 3D printing a swerve module. It's just totally wild to see how that's kind of evolved. And what about for additive with metal? Do you think there's a market for that in FRC yet, or do you think that's cost prohibitive at this point?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, you have to do your own research on what's out there and what the pricing on everything is. But I don't think it's out of the question to own a machine, and it's definitely not out of the question to have some parts on your robot that are metal 3D printed. Yeah. That's totally possible.
Yeah, and I like the idea.
The turnaround times can probably be way faster than conventional machining.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Potentially, right? Depends on how complicated the part is. If you're going to spend a long time having to do like a 4 or 5 axis CNC operation, it could very well be faster to have it additively manufactured. And the other thing is you can do geometries that you might not have been able to do otherwise.
Definitely, yeah.
Right. There's this whole thing of like generative design, as it's kind of being called, where you can make really lightweight parts that are optimal from their loading perspective.
Right. I mean, I guess we just have like generations where we've always thought of parts like having to come from something as opposed to starting from, and being, it's just like a totally different way of thinking. And so that's pretty wild. What's the coolest thing you've ever printed?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I just make, little like stuff that's useful. So brackets and made a little like a hard drive holder, nothing too fancy, just on my personal machine.
It is nice where like to have the control, because like so often it's like there's something in the house that's just like doesn't fit right or whatever, and you're like, oh, I wish that, and you like look online for like what bracket could be there or whatever, but like it's like, oh yeah, I can just design up something to clip this on here, you know, or like to hold this or whatever. So it's there's definitely some power in there. Rudy, do you have any questions for Nick?
Yeah. So like something that me and my friends we always talk about is the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and how like this one machine generates like a bunch of food and it falls from the sky. And then we started talking about like 3D printing food. Like, do you think like we're gonna get there? Like starting to like 3D print food and like create different types of foods?
Yeah, I mean, we already are in a lot of different ways. I know, I don't remember where this is from, but there's definitely a 3D printer that does sugar and chocolates. There's another one that does ice cream. And then, you know, as we start talking about like these like lab grown meats and that kind of stuff, I think there might be some applicability there.
Wow.
That is very, I know like one of the things, I have a friend and she has a cookie business and she like hand decorates the cookies and whatever. And I remember saying to her, like, you should, like, she's the first person to, like, you should like invent like a cookie CNC machine that's just like, you know, pumps these out or whatever. A question we have from chat. Do you plan to be a professor at the end of your PhD, or do you want to branch into your own research? Or maybe both?
Yeah, not sure at the moment, but I think the plan is probably to go back into industry, back into a research and development setting. I think that's probably what I'll do.
Very, very, very cool stuff. And like the options are, there's so much potential there. I'm sure if you probably have cool ideas, you know, start a business with a couple other FIRST alums and do some cool stuff. So Nick, thank you so much for being here. Anything else you want to tell the audience? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to promote before you go?
Not really, no. It's been a pleasure being here, and yeah.
Thank you. And also happy 10-year Dean's List anniversary. Isn't that wild to think about?
Yeah, wow. It was a while ago. Okay.
Yeah, it is a while ago. It is a while ago. Thank you, Nick, for being here. Thank you for telling us your story. So inspirational, your journey and all this cool stuff. And also, thanks for chatting 3D printers with us. I'm sure that's really informative stuff for the audience.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
All right, Rudy, that wraps up another show here. What was your favorite part of the show tonight, Rudy?
Oh, I really liked the Western segment. I really liked it.
The only correct answer was when Mahira played the guitar. That was definitely the highlight. Well, it's like, just like, I always, you know, when people were saying, it's like, oh, it's like, do you have that around you? Do you want to bring that on? I did not think she was going to grab the guitar. Like, she's like, should I go get it? I'm like, yeah, go get it. That was great. I loved it so much. So that was great. But on next week's show, we've got some good stuff coming on because we're going to have some game design and innovation challenge presentations from FRC teams. We got team 1374 and 865 are going to be on the show. We are going to be announcing the Global Innovation Award contestants for FLL Challenge, the teams that have moved on. So Annika Pint is going to be on to talk about that. And we're going to be chatting about the University of Windsor so we can learn about another school across Ontario, another school that supports FIRST really great. Oh, love that Windsor event. Always a good time. You know, like Windsor, you know, stuff happens. It's always great. Rudy, thank you so much for being a co-host. Always great. And anything you want to say to the audience before we go?
I like being here and I like being a co-host. It's really fun.
Well, we're going to keep bringing you back because you're doing a great job. Thank you, everyone. Thanks to our producers, moderators in chat, and especially to our audience. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting FIRST Canada Live. And everyone, you know, stay safe out there, and we will see you all next week. Bye, folks. Thank you.